Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jimmy Kimmel found it funny that President Trump supposedly said he wasn't going to leave the Oval Office, and Kimmel said it was like when you try to tell a 5-year-old it's time to leave Disneyland. Fortunately, the Oval Office is oval, so you can't really pile furniture up against the door, but how would he see it working? Would he and Joe Biden be roommates? I mean, on the one hand, it's treason. On the other hand, great idea for a comedy show. So it's the weekend, and I have had this one saved away for weekend filler. Let's see what we got here. It's from The Loop, L-O-U-P-E, each state's favorite stand-up comedian. You ready? Because there's 50 states plus D.C. I'm going to fly through these. You got a pen? Write your state down. Alaska, Bill Hicks. Alabama, Eddie Murphy. Arkansas, Jim Carrey. Arizona, Gary Shandling. California, Russell Peters. Colorado, Taylor Tomlinson. Connecticut, Robert Klein? Really? Connecticut, I love Robert Klein, but really? D.C., Kevin Hart. Delaware, Dave Chappelle. Florida and Georgia, Kevin Hart. Hawaii went with Billy Connolly. Really? Iowa went with Andy Kaufman. Yeah? Idaho, Jim Carrey. Illinois, Norm Macdonald. Indiana went with Elaine Boozler. This is fantastic. Kansas, Jim Carrey. Kentucky, Roseanne. Louisiana picked Eddie Murphy. Yeah? All right. Massachusetts, Bill Burr. That actually makes sense. Maryland, Eddie Murphy. Maine, Sam Kinison. Michigan, Kevin Hart. Minnesota, Mitch Hedberg. Yeah, hometown guy. That's great. Montana, Phyllis Diller. Really? What? All right, now I got to remember what the abbreviations are. M-O-M-S-M-T. M-T's Montana, M-S is Missouri. So what's M-O? Now, I could have gone back and edited that, but I'm leaving it in just for the one of you that is screaming at your phone right now. You know you did. You know you're like, M-S is Mississippi, M-O is Missouri, M-N is Minnesota, M-T is Montana. I know you did it. I know you did it. I'm busting you on it. I could have taken it out, but I did it just to have fun with you. I already forgot which one is which anyway. M.O. is Phyllis Diller. Yeah? Is it 1960 there? M.S. Bernie Mac. M.T. Robin Williams. North Carolina, Kevin Hart. North Dakota, Norm Macdonald. Nebraska, Patton Oswalt. New Hampshire, Norm Macdonald. New Jersey, Robert Klein. I live in New Jersey. No, it's not. It's not. It's probably Dave Chappelle. Even if he wanted to like New Jersey things up, Joe Piscopo would win over Robert Klein in an election. New Mexico, Jim Carrey. Nevada, Daniel Tosh. New York, again with the Robert Klein. Ohio, again with the Elaine Boozler. What? Oklahoma, Sam Kinison. Oregon, off the board. They went Ricky Gervais. Pennsylvania. Let's come back to Pennsylvania. Rhode Island, Rodney Dangerfield. South Carolina, Eddie Murphy. South Dakota, Norm Macdonald. So he swept the Dakotas. Tennessee went with Eddie Murphy. Texas, Chris Rock. Utah, Jim Gaffigan. Virginia, Eddie Murphy. Vermont, Steve Martin. Taylor Tomlinson takes both Washington and Wisconsin. Phyllis Diller in West Virginia. I don't get it. And Wyoming, stuck in 1961. They picked Jonathan Winters. All right, I skipped over Pennsylvania. Who do you think Pennsylvania picked as their favorite comedian? They went with Bill Cosby. People of Pennsylvania, why don't you Google Bill Cosby? I'll wait. Did you do it? Is he still your favorite? Pick somebody else. Oh, this fun article has some more stuff. See, I never pre-read the articles. I go in cold because that way I can stumble into things like the Bill Cosby. Ooh, we're going to have more weekend filler next week, but I've got real stuff to tell you about. The Hollywood Reporter spoke to Weird Al, and they were like, hey, Weird Al, how was it writing a version of yourself for that Weird Al biopic that's coming out? Weird Al said, it's sort of an out-of-body experience, but we've been working on this for years, so after a while you stop even thinking about it. It's just a Weird Al character in a movie. It's a miracle when anything is made. First we thought we'll just sell it based on that original Funny or Die video and say this, but a whole movie. We pitched it everywhere, and they're like, yeah, no. Then we thought we needed to explain what the movie is, so we came up with a whole outline. We went everywhere again, and we pitched, all right, here's the whole movie. What do you think? And they're like, that's really funny, not interested. And then we figured, all right, we got the movie, so let's just write the script. So we wrote the script, and then we attached Daniel Radcliffe, and we thought, all right, there's going to be a bidding war. Everyone's going to want this now. There wasn't a bidding war, but Roku did, in fact, decide that they wanted to make the movie. Would Weird Al be interested in making a straight biopic of his life and his career? Al said, after this movie comes out, I'm not sure there's going to be interest in that. If somebody wants to make that movie, God bless him. Vulture, they put out their comics you should know list. One of them, Allison Liebley. They wrote, Liebli's work lives in the millennial thoughts about dating neighborhood, presented from her frank, matter-of-fact persona, pragmatism with a hint of neurosis. There are jokes about the reality of living with a body, especially a female body, the mortification and concern of having a hot surgeon, the realization that what your neighbor thinks about your wild sex sounds are actually the sound of you putting on your jeans every morning. Vulture asked her for one story from her childhood that explains why she ended up being a comedian. Allison said, when Wayne's World came out, I probably watched it 100 times. I had memorized it, even though half the jokes went way over my 11-year-old head. We were at the beach, and my family was talking about ordering dinner one night. My mom asked everyone what they wanted, and I knew a Wayne's World quote opportunity when I saw it, so my third-grade self said to a room full of adults, I'll have the cream of some young guy. I, of course, had no idea that was a joke about sex or semen. I had to clean that up a little, Allison. Come on. Or if it was insulting to the AIPI community, which I now think it must be, but I'm not a member of that group, so I don't want to weigh in on its cultural impact. I just knew it was a perfect time for a joke I'd watched dozens of times. I definitely got laughs, even as my family did best to stifle those. All right, Allison, if somebody made a TV show about you, what would it be? She said, as a woman nearing 40 who grew up in the golden age of rom-coms, I have to say, magazine writer, the job all women want and have. Best comedy advice and worst comedy advice. Best, perform in as many places as you can. Do alt rooms, do club rooms, do shows in the city, do shows out of town, do packed houses, do rooms with 2 audience members. Not only will you learn to adapt and pivot, but more importantly, you'll bomb a lot. And getting comfortable bombing and learning from those bombs, that's probably the best thing you can do to get better at comedy. Worst advice, having a day job means you aren't totally committed to comedy. There's absolutely no one way to do comedy, and I always had a day job early on while pursuing this career because I wanted comfort and health insurance in my life. There's nothing wrong with doing what you need to be able to take care of yourself. And from NHL.com, your home for comedy news, Scott Darling. He helped the Chicago Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup in 2015. He's got a new passion. Guess what it is? Why am I mentioning it? What do you think it is? Did you guess? That's right. He became a stand-up comedian. Good job out of you. Darling said, who would be the most surprised to hear that I'm doing this? I'd say anybody I played hockey with, any of my teammates. I was quiet, man. I stared at my shoelaces, kind of kept to myself just because I'm like an anxious, nervous person. I just wanted to be there and do my job. Once I retired, I realized I could be myself now and know I'm a goofball. I just call myself that. I'm a goofball. How'd he start? I never thought I'd actually do it, but I was at the Laugh Factory in Chicago, and this guy named Ray Wisbrock went on. He was hilarious. My humor is very dark and true stories about my life, and this guy had the same type of humor, an older guy, and he recognized me in the lobby from playing for the Blackhawks. We became great friends, and he said, just open for me one time. If you don't like it, I won't ask you again. So I did it, but I was so bad, but I loved it, and I loved the thrill of it. It honestly reminded me of the feeling of being in an NHL game, like that rush, you know? I'm as crazy now about doing comedy as it was about playing hockey. He doesn't have to deal with too many hecklers, he says. I mean, I look like I'm in the Hells Angels, so people don't really mess with me too much. But I love when I get the hecklers. I get so excited when someone chirps with me on stage because I know I'm just going to eviscerate them. I haven't had that many, but the couple I've had, it's been fun for me. I actually like engaging the crowd, even making them mad, kind of. In real life, I'm a very nice person, but on stage, I have a persona where I come off as arrogant, full of myself, but I'm doing that on purpose. Who are his influences? Great list here. Tom Segura, Chris DiStefano, Bert Kreischer, and Andrew Santino. And that is your comedy news for today. You can follow this show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows, and I'll see you tomorrow.